We are back another Saturday at noon on our Black Media Network. We're in the Watchdogs, and starting next Saturday, Carlton's going to be on time, and Chandra and them are going to start taking the lead because 2024. I'm trying to retire from the Watchdogs. I got 3 podcasts. How you doing this morning, Chandra?
I'm fine. No, one thing you can't do is the Watchdogs was created, as a podcast to highlight things that in politics, political arena
well,
that
mm,
should be talked about.
well,
So how
yeah.
you gonna retire from
Well,
what?
it's our investigative reporting show, and honestly, this is my motto, and I'm glad we're starting here. This is a great start to the conversation. One of the things I really want to do is pass the baton to. We find Carlton's one of the most smartest people I know, but get him a much younger co-host, meaning younger than I, and they can carry it. Because we gotta train him up. We gotta train him up.
Well, that is true, but you know what I have found about a lot of young people, you know, they're not as dedicated and grounded as we are in saying that um in I mean, because these shows take a lot of you have to do your background and investigation first
Right, right,
to,
right.
to know that you can't just pop on the show unprepared. You have to be doing some actual research, on
Oh,
topics, and your topics have to be relevant to, what is going on in, what prompted this subject, you
yeah.
know.
Well, you just gotta train him up. You
Yeah,
train
but
him up, and beat him.
but you're
Look,
gonna
train
have
him.
to
Look, you missed the safe part. You train him up and you beat them when they don't do right. I'm
you
playing.
you're
I'm
gonna
playing. I'm
have
leaving domestic violence. I'm playing.
yeah, you're gonna have to train them up, train Carlton up in a
Yeah.
way that, first
No, I'm
of
just gonna
all,
choke him out. Yeah.
yeah, you
I'm gonna
don't
choke him
just
out. He
pop
know
on
better.
a show with, and that's what needs to make us different. The
But
Watchdogs and every show that we put on ATR Media,
I'll black me.
that's
Yeah.
what
Mm.
needs to
Oh,
differentiate us from people that just have podcasts. I mean, because everybody got a podcast these days,
well,
but
is it good?
everybody, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But is the Candace Owens of this world really, are they just being a sideshow for their
Yeah.
audience,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or are they
Yeah.
really bringing you truth?
Right. Right.
And
Right. Right. Right.
I
Right.
would think that the Watchdogs, we have always tried to bring truth
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to Savannah, to America, to to our audience, And if
Mm-hmm.
you can't find replacements that's going to be dedicated, do their research and everything,
Mm-hmm.
just cancel the show.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hop onto our topic. Let me text again, but you came up with the topic today. You walk us into it, and let's get started.
Well, I the topic today, guys, is reparations. And the reason why I I, I feel that American Black Americans today are we're owed reparations because the settlements of our forefathers was never realized. I mean, 40 acres and a mule was a policy that uh, the United States, they reneged, you know, they reneged on right after the assassination of uh, Lincoln, because he passed the policy that every slave that that built this country, you know, or former slave that built this country would get 40 acres and a mule.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you know how many, there were over 400,000, Africans brought to the United States for the specific purpose of being slaves. And for 250 years in America, we suffered slavery. And if you multiply the 400,000 slaves,
Well,
the children
yeah,
that they had, and the
right,
children
right,
that were had in
right,
250 years of slavery, then
right.
multiply that times
Well,
40 acres and a mule.
right. I
How
get you.
much?
I
How
get you.
many
I get you.
acres should we have?
I got you. I got you. Now, Miss Chandra, I'm gonna tell you now. See, you're not gonna eat up all the sound bites today. Now, you know I
I'm
come
just
for you.
saying.
I'm
So
gonna
I'm
come for
I'm
you when
I'm
you ain't
building
for
the
me now.
context.
No,
I'm building the
well, you done built the
context.
context, baby.
I'm building the context for our
I know that,
conversation.
but baby, you're gonna be building the whole day, honey.
No, I'm just building the context,
I'm messing
and
with
then because you told me to lead in, and
you. I'm messing
then
with you.
Lincoln passed a policy saying everybody would get 40 acres and a mule.
Right.
Okay, so when he was assassinated, and I think Johnson came in, whatever, he abolished, he by executive order or whatever he did,
Yeah.
he said, no, we're not going to do that. And reparations is about shrinking the wealth gap in America, because
Okay. All right. Okay.
because
Good.
the wealth gap between the average American and the average white person is $850,000. Eight hundred
Right.
and fifty
Right. Right.
thousand dollars. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Right.
Well, let me offer this. And so I one of the things I approach every conversation and topic different. So I wanted to look up the words to reparate or what the reparations are. And it is the making of amends for a wrong one has done by paying money to or otherwise helping those who have been wronged. Now, a lot of you have, hopefully, you all watched the Political Spectrum with myself and Dante Thompson, which is on Sundays at 6. And we talked about this briefly last Sunday around reparations. And his perspective as a black Republican is maybe our ancestors are on our old reparations, but what about us? So one thing I try to do as a person that enters these conversations and a person of diversity, equity, inclusion work is to look at both sides of it objectively. One of the things I can see both arguments, right? Because what you said, Chandra, was so important in the context of it all. It's and the definition of wronging a right of those who were victims of the circumstance, right? So we didn't pick cotton per se. We weren't technically oppressed as they were. We are oppressed because we're living in a system not made for us, but we are still living the byproduct of ignorant white folk who created the system, right? And so in that context, I can see a lean more into. I think there needs to be not necessarily maybe a monetary value to it, but I could see access to college education. I could see land ownership. What I have, I'm apprehensive of is putting money in our hands. A lot of us black folk, we don't do well with money, myself included. And so if I go give you that stimulus check, y'all want to go buy hair nails and buy a new car instead of investing. So my thing is give people stuff that they can invest in or have an investment attachment to. So Carlton, what are your thoughts?
What a problem starts with. Like she said, you got to give context. The problem goes all the way back to the 13th Amendment. You got to realize they passed the 13th Amendment to abolish chattel slavery, but they never passed the laws to punish those who still practice it, which I'm not sure if she should discuss this before I jumped on. But Until you get that point where you can establish that African Americans are actually people and stand on equal ground as white people, we still stand up under the system. We still stand up under the system that was never built for us. So why would I give people the tools to allow them into the system if I don't want to be on an equal playing field with them?
and, and then RG, yes, that Carlton is a great point, but then we have to look at you can't just look at one infraction against African Americans in the United States of America. We can look at slavery, the 250 years, but then on top of that, after slavery had ended, what year did slavery end, guys?
It never ended. The
No,
jail
no,
system. No,
no,
hold
no.
on, no, hold on. I'm gonna answer it. I'm gonna answer it. The jail system is slavery. That's all it is. See, a
Okay,
lot of
but
times I'm gonna cut you up, but a lot of times, and this is my biggest problem with some black folks, we will buy into stuff that people that don't look like us say is right. Jail is wrong. It's messed up. The criminal justice system is wrong. I just had to enter that.
exactly. But we from 1865. Well, when did we come over here? 1865, right? 250 years of slavery, and then shortly after that, 92 years of Jim Crow. In 92 years of Jim Crow. Then once Jim Crow had ended, they had decades and decades of redlining, mass incarceration, uh, you know, you name it, they have put barriers up. So RG, I do not buy into the rhetoric of any Republican that says that, well, we are so far distant. Carlton, who is clearly in his 30s, is distant from what happened back in 1865 or 1965, for that matter. I mean, we all are paying the cost for every policy that they set in place to deny us our economic development. And even now, in 2024, where we have limited businesses, very limited. We just had a lady on last week who said, well, I went to the SBA. I have a small business. I'm 5 years in, me and my husband, and I still have not been able to tap into the resources that they have for small businesses. So when those things are at play, when right there in Savannah, under this administration in Savannah, you have companies, legitimate restaurants, and business owners who cannot equitably get
Yeah, yeah.
a alcohol license to
Well,
progress their position.
You know, I
That's
want to comment.
it.
I want to comment on something you said earlier to give people a tad bit of context of how long that actually was to go. And I tell people this, and most people don't realize. My grandfather was born in 1892. My mother is the granddaughter of slaves, legitimately, because her grandparents were slaves, though she never got to meet them, and this is well before her time. She is the granddaughter of slaves. That wasn't that far ago. That's on like three generations. That's like two, three generations ago. People be
That's
like, yo, because especially when they go into the context of talking about civil rights, they're talking about talking about your ancestors. My ancestors. What you mean, my ancestors? That was my grandma, my great aunts and stuff. That wasn't that long ago.
right,
yes.
right,
Because a
right.
generation is
Hey,
only 40 years.
Hold on 1 minute. Let me jump in real quick. Real quick. One of the things, because this is part of what you're saying, but I want folk to hear it because I don't. One thing about me, I'm not scared to have. I'm not afraid to have a conversation. When are black folk gonna stop? Because let me say this: when are black folk gonna step out of being Uncle Tom's, right? And what I mean by that is, for slavery to have happened, right? For people not to be able to get SBA loans, for folks to not be able to excel and thrive in the communities, means that somebody that looked like us, that was on the inside, had to participate with the oppressor. We got to stop that. Now, I'm not saying just because I know Chandra and Carlton, I'm going to give them away. But what I am saying is, if I am a mayor of a city, right, and I know that Chandra and Carlton got a small business, and I know they look like me, I'm not going to raise the bar. I'm going to keep the bar here, and I'm going to be like, make sure you don't miss the deadline. We got to stop this bullshit. Excuse me, y'all can't cuss, but I'm going to have to use that because I mean this. Of selling out just to pad your pockets while over here they not eating. I have a major problem with that because one of the things I say, and I mean it, if I'm eating, meaning if I'm thriving, everybody around me gonna thrive. That's just the way I see things.
But you know what? I speak against that because the one thing, like I tell everybody, when you elevate from here to here, everybody can't go with you. Everybody's not meant to go with you because you can try and tell this person, that person one thing, and they will hear it, but they will not comprehend it. And if they're not prepared to comprehend it, that this is something I got to do to get to here, they're not going to do it. People are genuinely complacent with being where they are. It's sad and you hate to see it, but you have to realize that some people are meant to ascend and elevate, but everybody ain't.
Well, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: if I have bought 3 properties and I am financially fine, and I know you're opening a small business, and I know I'm the gatekeeper to those resources, I'm gonna open the gate.
Well,
You know,
yeah, you're right, RG. The type of leadership that I mean, because in the mid 70s, when black people started ascending to going into politics, it may have been just one or two at certain points, and then in the 80s, then we get a couple of other ones, the Jesse Jacksons and all of this of the world. But then, and that's when we started voting black. you know I mean, it was this big push. No matter where they stand, just vote black, because they're going to stand with you. That is not true, because I highlighted in 2014 when I ran for public office down in Savannah, and I said, what have you done for me lately? Thank you, Janet Jackson. Because if you can't show me where you are wearing our uniform and playing on our team at the same time, why are we voting for you in the first place? So if you are a business owner and the Van Johnsons and the Linda Bryants and all of that, they have
well,
sold out
Well, and
to.
and what I want to do, let's look at other examples. I'll look at Kasim Reed in Atlanta. Kasim Reed is a deplorable piece of crap. How dare you think this is? And I want to add to you, what the problem? This is how I look at leadership, and I categorize youth and children in the least of those because they are limited in the ability of decisions that they can make. So when you start working against the least of those, the homeless, the youth, the elderly, we got a problem, Houston. Kasim Reed is a part of that problem. Honestly, I can't think of any. The only public-facing political figure that I can see that's doing well, of course, some locally, but the one I want to look at nationally that has probably done some good right now in today's terms, it's really limited. It's sad because when you're in public service, you should serve the public, not yourself. And so many people
Yes,
get that mixed up, like you're saying.
Let me tell y'all
yes,
who my favorite black politician right now. She Wanda. Y'all probably done seen her on TikTok. A young lady by the name of Jasmine Crockett.
yes, yes. She let them have it, don't you, Carlton? She
Jasmine Crockett
she
is
gives
by
them
far
no
my
this
favorite
this
politician right now.
yes, yes, yes. But I hate you know who intercepts it or interrupts our plea and our stance on reparations is the bootlickers like Tim Scott from South Carolina. You know, every time I see him, he is. I just want to throw up because you are such. You are such a. You are a anti. You hate yourself,
Lord.
and that's why you don't speak up for your own people, and that's why you would go on public TV or wherever you are, and you would embarrass yourself by telling a known fascist, a known racist, I just love you. You sicken me. And you should go and just kill yourself, Tim Scott.
Chandra, Jesus.
No, that it is true.
We do not endorse suicide.
For certain reasons, I'm telling him, don't murder your whole. Don't murder your group. Because what you're doing is you're doing the same thing that Candace Owens. You know, you're just what they call it, Tim and Shefford. You're just a sideshow for these people. Yes, you're just a side. You know,
he ain't heterosexual. He a side chick. I'm
gonna say I've listened to some of the stuff that Candace Owens is truly what they call a token fill in the blank. Tim Scott falls along that line.
Around with it.
With A.
She's a ninja.
Yeah, now a token ninja.
She can't come to the cookout.
Yes, she ain't invited to the cookout, but she is a token ninja to them. She plays into the
because every time.
Massa, let me tell you what's going on. Carlton at the gun line, boss.
Every time they want to justify what they do to black people, they bring out a Candace Owens.
Bring them out.
You know, just listen to them. They said that the United States has never been racist. But wait a minute. We have policies that show that y'all have been racist. Redlining, Jim Crow, slavery, all of that.
But Candace, I'm let me say it like this: everything that Candace Owens says, some of it that she says, I agree, and that's only about maybe 10% of it. Because some of the stuff that she said, I'll say, yeah, that's true. But the rest of it, I'll be like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. But y'all got to play it till she plays the part, so she can live the lifestyle that she wants to live. She does what she does. You don't have to live. You don't have to take into account what she says because she's going to say it regardless. But just take it with a long handled spoon, like the old folks say.
But she is damaging, you know, because when all you do is get your news from Fox or all of these right-wing media people, and you see a black woman pop up and say, DEI, if I got on a plane and I saw a black person, I'd wonder if they was there under DEI, and I might not want to take that plane. Are you saying that? I mean, so what? And just what she's saying is that every time she sees a black person in a high level position, she feels like they got there because they were just meeting a checkbox on the
and hold that thought
spectrum.
And hold that thought, because when we come back from commercial break, I want to definitely come back to that question. Is affirmative action, watch this, is affirmative action modern day conversation or that box for reparations? We'll be back. long, y'all. Let me hit this right quick.
You think they bear responsibility for the actions of Timothy Mayer and subsequent generations?
So I feel like they can't be responsible for what their forefathers did. However, I want them to recognize how that behavior benefited them and work to the disadvantage of us. Just like they've had multiple generations of wealth. The original slaves and their descendants haven't.
The inability to purchase land.
Couldn't build on anything.
And intergenerational wealth passed down through real estate.
None of that.
Okay, before we get into the topic and go back to the topic, we want to give a shout out to Hot 2100 in Atlanta. We are building a partnership with them. We're going to radio, y'all. We got the Roku, we got this live presence. Julius Hall is just building a dynasty, so we are growing and growing. That woman, you all, kind of captured some of what you all said. What happened, that was a beautiful moment. You had a family of a former slave owner, and the African-American family were descendants of one of the slaves they owned. So what a powerful moment. But she said something key, and it kind of resonates with what we're talking about, and the fact that they, meaning white folk, have always had.
Is he?
I think he's for.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they have always had, and we have always been fighting for justice. And when, I want to interject the fact that in the United States of America, ever since the Second World War or even before, the United States as a government has always acknowledged the suffrage of people. They gave to the people that lived the Holocaust. That wasn't our thing. That was a Germany thing. That was what they were owed by whoever elected Hitler. But we paid these surviving Jews. We have paid Japanese people for being in internment camps. We have paid even people that suffered the 9/11. That wasn't something that was of our making, but we have acknowledged their suffrage and we have paid them. And that amounts to settlement and reparations. Okay? So why are they so reluctant? Because RG, I do not believe like you. Mm-hmm. Like that you give a person what they are due. Okay? Because not all of the Japanese people, not all of the Holocaust survivors, not all of the 9/11 survivors, half of them probably wasn't even talking to their damn family member when they were blown up in the Twin Towers. But they got reparations. So I don't feel like you should be discounting your black people and saying, well, we don't do good with money. And
well, I say myself included, we don't.
I don't care.
I'm going to give the statistic right.
Hold on. I'm not making generalizations, but we don't. Myself included.
Because let me tell you,
the trend is there. We will go buy nails before we will go buy and put an investment. It's bottom line.
Let me tell you, but that's not everybody.
Before we go vote.
But that's not everybody. You're putting you're putting a paintbrush on you.
I didn't say everybody, but the majority
mindset.
The majority, the evidence shows that we will stand in line for Jordans, but we won't stand in line to vote.
Sir, you are putting a paintbrush on your poor poverty mindset and the people that think like you. But let me tell you how I think. When I get my taxes back, when I do get taxes, or when I get a lump sum of money, I invest it. I pay off my bills, and then I invest some into the stock market. Okay. So, but if they have proposed, it has been proposed that every Black descendant of slavery or Jim Crow, which every person that checks that box that says Black or African American on the census, okay, they are the ones that are the target population for reparations. And they're saying that we are owed $312,000 each. That is life-changing money.
It is life-changing money. And I do agree with some of what you say, but I'm also gonna have to agree off of what some of RG says. Only from the basis of the fact of statistics. I want you to go back to not even that long ago to the year 2020 when they passed out so much free money. We got so much stimulus money, so much unemployment during that time. And they knew what they would do during that point in time. They gave it to them, they gave it to certain people because they know that they would stimulate the economy by going out and buying clothes, shoes, going out to eat, doing all of that. And it's not something that it's not that it's something that we do on purpose. It's something that's been ingrained to a lot of people for a long time. When you don't get the privilege all the time to buy luxuries like that and splurge and buy little knickknacks because you have a economic disadvantage, it comes to the point when they see that money, they don't think about, oh, I need to invest this money into an insurance policy. Because like I tell people now, after 2019, I donate to an insurance policy every week. I donate to bury somebody every week. And I said after that, if y'all wouldn't buy no insurance, don't send me no GoFundMe. But it's not entirely their fault.
No.
They're gonna go buy it, but in the same aspect, we don't necessarily get all the wisdom to have the foundation to know that when I get this money, I need to do something better to advance myself later on down the line. Because if you give these people $312,000, even in today's market, they could go buy a house. But do you really think that they see themselves spending $312,000 on this house when they want to do this, do that, do this, do that, and do that? No, they're gonna spend that money and it's gonna be gone.
Let me tell you something,
When
Carlton.
you don't,
Hold on,
because
hold on.
when you don't have the resources to say, I'm going to manage this money well, or you're not used to that type of money holding on, it's going to go. If you don't have the income to back yourself continuously having that money will blow through.
Yeah,
And that's just
and the thing,
statistics.
hold on. The thing is, what I'm really big on, and I had to learn this, I had to learn this, which I learned this earlier in life. Investment. My mother, my mama said a lot of stuff, but the one thing that I agree with, my mother always said, good credit is better than having money in the bank. Good credit is better than having money in the bank. What she meant by that is, well, if you have good credit, when you walk into a store, you don't need money because you're gonna get what you need, and that's important. And so the thing we've got to start building generational wealth means sometimes sacrificing now and putting frameworks in place that will sustain generations, right? So, for example, if we have property, I tell people all the time, if you got property, things that are not liquidated, keep it, because 4 or 5 years down the road, or 4 or 5 generations down the road, you can point back like this house. My daddy, when he passed, said he wanted the house to stay in the family. I might not be eating for the next 2 weeks, but I guarantee you this, I won't put no mortgage on this house. You know why? Because by 5, 6 generations down the road, they can look back and say, my uncle, my great, 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 great uncle. So we've got to start thinking more of a investment thought process and less of a now thought process, is what I'm saying.
But RG, now I have lived in the investment because my parents bought a home in Nottingham. And after they passed, the house passed down to me and my siblings. And we have not sold it. In fact, we all have houses of our own, but we will not sell our house in Nottingham.
Right.
But when you have, if nobody talked to you, and we talk to our nieces and nephews and the younger generation, my children, and we talk to them about, okay, I didn't get my first house until I was in my late 40s, but you should be getting your first house in your 20s.
That'd be
You
wonderful.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. But see, when you have white people, you know what they gift their children at their weddings? They gift their children stock portfolios
Yeah.
and down payments on houses and things like that. And but they have always lived in houses, you know, to where my daddy had a house, I'm gonna have a house. I'm gonna, my daddy had a business. I'm gonna go into the family business. But RG, it has to start somewhere.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree.
So I do not agree with some, bootlicking black people saying, hey, nah, we don't need to give black people $312,000 because
Well,
they're not
watch
going to
this.
do the right thing.
Watch this. Watch this though. Watch what you're saying and watch what I'm saying. Let me say this. Let's say we give every black person an acre of land, or 30 acres.
Acre of land
Hold
ain't
on, hold on, hush, hush. Or 30 acres. Liquidate that 30 acres in 10 years. What you got? Over $1 million. So now, which do you want?
The thing is that I want my 40 acres and a mule.
But listen to what I'm asking you. Hold up.
Yes,
No, listen.
I
I want you
do.
stop.
I do.
No. Stop. Listen to what I am asking you. You're saying right now, give me the $312,000. I'm saying give them, no, scratch that. Give them the 30 acres, right? Even screw the mule. Give them the 30 acres. If you hold on to that land, that 30 acres, 10 years from now, you're looking over $1 million. Which do you want?
You know what I want?
You got over $1 million.
I'm over 50 years old, RG. I want my 312,000 because then I can invest it in the stock market if I wanted to. I can buy a second house if I wanted to. But if I'm getting 30 acres or 40 acres, it would only benefit me if I'm planning on living into my 80s, which I need. If I was Carlton, yes, I would choose door 2 because door 2 is going to have him having a great retirement. But door 2 for me, if I can't access money to maybe build affordable housing on those 40 acres, because see, if I could build affordable housing and have somebody paying $900 to $1,000 a month on every unit that I own on that 40 acres, you damn right, I'm good.
Let Carlton answer. Carlton, what are your thoughts?
But you kind of just contradicted yourself what you said, because you just said not too long ago the fact that your family, when your parents died, they had the house in Nottingham. They did not sell it because it was for y'all, and you knew what the investment of it was. So why would you not take the 30 acres of the mule? Because they're giving each and everybody who currently is alive right now that that. And then on top of that, what you have is combined with what they have. It's closing the wealth gap.
Yes,
because now you have more equity.
Is he froze? Is Carlton?
Yeah, I think he may have froze.
Okay, but what I'm saying to Carlton's point is, if
he's back.
He's back.
He's back. Carlton, go ahead and finish up. I think he's
Carlton,
back.
finish your thought.
I forgot where did it drop off at?
You 30 acres. If I'm not taking the 30 acres.
Yeah, if you're not going to take, why would you not? That's what my point. Why would you not take the 30 acres to close up the wealth gap? We mentioned the wealth gap a lot, but that's closing up the wealth gap if you accept it versus accepting a federal note, which is value is going to decrease in two minutes after you get it.
Okay, because Carlton, if I have 40 acres, which a lot of us have buildings, my friend Alan Scott had buildings throughout Savannah, okay, that his father left to him. Right there on 37th and Waters was one of them, and Sharon's Lounge was one of them. I don't even know if it's still around, but and then they had a lot of apartments. But if I cannot develop that land because you still have policies in place. Wait, you still have policies in place where that limits me being able, just like Miss Taylor, who has two chefs
The
restaurant.
problem is, watch this. Hold on. Just watch. How do I put this? I'll just say it like this here. I will one day have some land in Florida. I need to go assess that land. What I want to do with that land and what's zoned for that land are two different things. But guess what? It's still land. I can liquidate it. You see what I'm saying? Hold on.
Yes, but why should you have to liquidate it after 10 years?
Hold on. Stop. Not done. Stop. Now, hold on. The problem is, it's not even a problem. We can't always do what we want to do. So you make it work. So I want to build a club. It ain't zoned for that. Well, either I can build a house and pull rent from it, or I can sell it. But we got to stop that too, that po mouth, I'm victim attitude. Not everybody does it, but stand up, have a backbone, make it work. I can't sit here and say, oh, because I don't have $10, I can't eat today. You got to start thinking out the box. And what I'm saying is this, you have an asset. If you have an asset, you are working with some tangible stuff. But we've got to step back and say, how can I make this profitable? That's all I'm saying. And today, I would much rather you give me a brand new car versus you give me $10,000, because I could go sell that car and make double that. That's all I'm saying.
But Doc, what I'm saying is that if you have 40 acres, and we can do a whole lot with 40 acres, but my parents, my grandmother, my great grandmother, she had 7 lots that were over where you see Kroger. Well, it might have been Food Lion. It's where you see Food Lion in Garden City. That whole right off of. Wait.
No, build the context, because our viewers are across the world, so they don't know what that looks like.
In Savannah,
what I'm saying? How big? How much land you talking about?
So we're talking about
how many acres on average?
15 acres of land.
Right. Okay.
Where right there on.
It don't matter where. Just keep going.
Okay. Right. Wait. On Highway 80.
Baby, they don't know where that's at. These people
in Garden City, but
okay.
In Garden City on Highway 80.
Maybe they don't know where that's at. So just keep going.
There was land.
Okay.
And either Food Lion has it now or Kroger's have it now. But when she had it, she could not get funding to develop that land. Okay. So Kroger's came in. They were the first people that came in. And they offered her pennies on the dollar as to what that land was actually worth. And if you don't believe me, talk to Bernetta Lanier.
Okay,
because my family.
Let Carlton jump in. Go ahead, Carlton.
My family had a lot of land in Garden City. But if you cannot build on that land because you can't get funding, you are going to take a fucking loss.
All right.
I'm going to say it like this. It's not necessarily about the fact of selling it or doing something with it. It's about the fact of waiting for the opportune moment of what you're going to do with it. Because I'm going to give y'all a prime example of something that y'all probably did not know. Here in Savannah, that Circle K that's out there on 21, When they built that, them people did not sell that land. They leased that land to Circle K for 50 years for $50 million. So guess what happens in 50 years now that they have built this store on top of it and they know that it is a prime location where it's at? Then people going to say, hey, we're going to offer you $50 million again. They're going to say, no, get your store. We own either. What you're going to do, you're going to give them the store or you're going to pay them the money, to pay them the more money to continue to lease that land from them. It's not.
Who did it though?
It doesn't matter what he
No,
said.
no. That's a fucking lie. That's a fucking lie.
Just cussing now.
It does. If it don't matter, Carlton, was the landowners of Circle K white or black?
It doesn't matter.
That
has nothing to do with it.
It does.
They are white, but in the same aspect, you're in the same.
Clothes.
No, it doesn't. No.
In the aspects of it,
no.
Because the same deal that they
wrong. You got to look at. No, stop it. This is not a racist.
Your grandmother,
no, it's not.
Saying that your grandmother sold the land because she didn't know how to develop it. She didn't know that she could lease the land.
Right.
Even if they would have leased it for 10.
Sold the land because they were going to. What is it called when they say that they're going to?
They can't take that land. The government.
They said they were going to take the land by eminent domain.
The county, the government can do that, but not program.
They were going to eminent domain. I was here.
I'm not saying you wasn't. But no corporation do no eminent domain.
No, I'm telling you, the government was going to eminent domain those parcels of land because of the fact that it was going straight up 80 and they wanted economic development. They didn't just want a vacant lot in that area. But my great grandmother, being that all she did was own the land. Now they let her keep a lot of her land on Rose Knott Hill. You know, she kept the acreage on Rose Knott Hill, but that was prime land the same way that down there on Bay Street and going towards River Street was prime land.
What we've got to realize is this. Several things that just came out of that one little conversation. Our generations prior to probably 2 generations prior to mine, meaning my parents and old and grandparents' generation, they were not always too astute of what that meant as far as eminent domain and all of that. Because right now, I'm gonna tell you something. There are things going on in the major cities across the nation where they're going to do eminent domain because you know why? Because like you said, it's primo property, and we want to redevelop and gentrify it. Look at Charleston, for example. You're not going to be able to too much fight that without enough people, and because we some ignorant people, sometimes we won't fight it. Look at what I just said. But what I am saying is, if you've got land and you're in a primo spot, like by a major highway or shopping center, and you lease that land, that ain't got no color. That just got common sense written on it. I always tell people, if you can lease the land,
if they don't have access to land,
lease it. I want us to stop calling everything racism because it don't go our way. That ain't what it is.
Listen, beige person.
I know Alpha Kappa Alpha ain't talking. I know Alpha Kappa Alpha ain't on here talking about no beige person.
I'm just saying, if that type of information, because see, when they send these snakes in to come to you with these offers, you know, and they're not really offers. They don't tell you, but you can do this. So the white people know, you know, we own the land, but if the white people have access to information that we don't know, you know, you can't call us ignorant for the fact that let me
show you what I mean by ignorant.
We're just not knowledgeable.
No, I'm gonna show you what's ignorant. No, we are. We can be ignorant people. We will go sit up in a church and listen to a pastor who just got drunk yesterday tell us how to act instead of going over here knowingly can invest and make ourselves better. That's ignorant. We will sit in a church and listen to a fool sinner tell us how to act before we will figure out some stuff on our own. That's ignorance. It is.
You contradicting. That's just bullshit what you saying.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
RG.
You ain't gonna
I
stop
mean,
it.
but you just contradicted what you said earlier about your grand. You just like prime example. You said the not knowing. Of course, she didn't know, but in the same aspect, now we know. So moving further, we progress from what based off the
Okay,
knowledge that we know.
so what I'm saying is, if you gave me my 40 acres today, and well, now I know, because Carlton told me that I can lease this land to them, and I don't have to sell it, and I don't have to be fooled by the boo game that they give us. They were giving us back in the 70s and 80s, because my great grandmother sold that property back in the 80s to them for, probably a little over 200,000, which probably was like $1 million to her,
Mhm.
But the thing is that when you share this type of knowledge and say, no, you don't have to sell your land, you can rent your land. See, the white people already knew this, because they've had decades and generations of land ownership, which brings us back full circle to reparations, because we have been denied out of so many things. And then our lintage, and then now in 2024, starting when George Floyd was murdered, a conscious effort started being that now we don't even want them to talk about slavery anymore. We don't want them to talk about all of the things that they have had to endure, because that makes it CRT. And we don't want our children knowing. No, you don't want your children knowing that y'all benefited off the backs of all of the people that died during slavery, off of the backs of all of our imprisoned young men that y'all mass incarcerated. But now, when it comes down to fentanyl and all of these meth things, y'all done put that as now it's a mental health thing, whereas y'all labeled crack differently from cocaine.
Let Carlton jump in, because see, I don't
just
know where you
to
going.
mass incarcerate our people and have free labor, because that is all prison is about. It's free labor, period.
You know the one thing that I'm gonna say is, when it comes to the wealth and economic divide that we have to account to, is we have to look back at history to places like Tulsa, Oklahoma, the beachfront New York, that the family just acquired back not too long ago because they fought the system to get their family's land back. When they start to see us succeed and get to a point where we might be on the equal playing field, they get scared. Because let's just go ahead and pull the band-aid off. It's not the fact that they're scared that when we get there that we'll get there. It's the fact that they fear that when we get there, and if we start to advance before them, that we'll begin to treat them how they treated us. And that's the issue right there. They're so scared of their own karma that they cannot take the fact of everything that they have dished and dealt out.
You right about that. And statistics has already said that by 2043, white people will be the minority, and they are losing their shit, because they know that they're about to be the minority in the United States. They're about to be the minority in the United States. And so that's the reason why you have such a big rise on racism and these nationalists and all of this type of stuff. But let me tell y'all something.
Nikki Haley 2024.
Her name
No.
ain't Nikki Haley.
You
It
know,
don't matter. It don't matter. I'm still
I,
alive.
I would never vote
Oh
for
yeah, we
somebody
got less than
that
give me final comments.
lied.
Final comments. We got 1 minute.
You know, but
Final
Black
comments.
people, we are not those type of people. We are not the British. We are not the American Caucasians who felt like it was just our duty to oppress others. So when we do reach power, we will not treat them the way they treated us.
All right, Carlton, your final comment.
You know, I feel like in honor of Black History, we're gonna do Maya Angelou. And you know, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I refuse to sit here and allow the system to take advantage. I try and educate as many people as possible, and I will continue to do that through my organization. So
Praise God. All right, y'all. Next week we'll be back next Saturday at noon. The Watchdogs. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. We have the political spectrum, and we have a special guest. And all I'm going to say is, her favorite tagline is, "Hello, Savannah. We'll see you next Saturday."
Like this.